Hi, this is Phil from Pens for Doodling, and today I'm going to take a crack at improving the Ohto Tasche pen that I reviewed previously. Now, you might recall that this was a lovely little pen, but unfortunately it didn't perform very well when I was drawing with it. So I've disassembled it, and you can see the various bits and pieces. The nib for it is just here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to see if I can improve the nib somewhat. So when I had a close look at this nib, it just looked like the tines themselves at the very end were just a little bit too close together. So what I'm going to try and do is just separate them a little bit. I'm pushing down on the shoulders there, okay, just to try and separate them. And what I'm also going to do is I'm just going to pick it up like that. And with my thumbnails, I'm just trying to wiggle the tines. There we go. I'm not bending them, I'm just wiggling them so that they can spring back into place, because anything that's trapped in between, I want it to pop out, and also I just want to loosen that end a little bit as well. Okay, so I'm just wiggling that with my thumbnails. And it would probably help if you could see what I'm doing. Okay, so kind of like walking, so moving my thumbnails alternately, and hopefully that's improved it a little. Now the other thing that I wanted to do with it as well was just try smoothing off that nib a little to try and reduce the feedback when I was shading with it. So right, just pop that down there, press the shoulders down just again to move it out slightly. That looks pretty good. So now I need to put this back together again. So one of the nice things about the Ohto Tasche is it is completely disassemblable. So here's the feed. Okay, this is the bit that the ink runs around. So your ink cartridge plugs in there. The ink flows down through these capillaries until eventually it reaches the nib here. Okay, so what I need to do is when I put it back together again, I need to make sure that the nib is in the right place. Okay, it needs to be central, not skewed, so that end piece there needs to be flat against the actual nib. Okay, so now I need to move it into position. This end has a plastic mount in it, and the metal bare part at the end, that's where the body screws into the barrel that has the ink cartridge. So I need to keep holding that nib in there like that with the feed, and just slot it back in, and just push it until it won't go anymore. Now the important thing here is to be firm but not brutal. You don't want to crack anything, you don't want to force anything. Okay, and looking at that, it looks like that is flat in, it's not skewed at all. Okay, so what I've done is I have flushed out the ink cartridge that came with it, so goodbye bad ink. This is where basically one of these comes in handy. It's a blunt syringe. I use these for cleaning my pens, and I use these for refilling cartridges. Alternatively, if you don't really care about refilling cartridges, there is also, you could also use a universal adapter or converter. I'm not going to do that because I quite like reusing cartridges, because it means this is one piece of plastic that's not in the rubbish or in the oceans, because I keep refilling them with ink. Okay, so I'm just going to put this Waterman ink in there instead. It's good ink, I like this ink, but more importantly it doesn't have any surprises in there that are going to block the feed. Now the cartridge does not contain much, okay, so literally I just pull out about 1 ml of ink, 1 milliliter. Okay, and just pop that in there. Remember, if you do this, to fill up the cartridge slowly, because the last thing you want is ink squirting all over the place. Okay, and that's it. Squirt the excess back in there, and let's plug it back into the pen. Don't want the cartridge leaking on me now. Right, so for now I'm just going to cap, because the last thing we want is for any unforeseen accidents happening there. Now I wanted to make the effort with this pen because I loved the design of it, but the ink flow was just the big thing that let it down. So okay, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Okay. Now at first it will be a little bit dilute because there'll be tiny amounts of water still trapped in the feed. That's nothing to worry about. Okay, just work it out. Okay, now that is flowing so much more than the previous one did. Now I don't know whether it's fiddling with the nib or changing the ink that's done that, but that is a much better flow than what I had last time. Now with that in fact it feels much smoother too. So yeah, really happy with that. So I've got to say, excellent.